All right, guys, welcome to the Country Club. You know what's up. Oh, and I got my microphone. It is on. I keep forgetting. I don't turn it on down here when I'm doing Google Hangouts. I do forget. But guess what? We are going to interview Dan the Man. What's up, Scholar from across the pond? I mean, you're still awake. What are you doing? It's like 2 in the morning or something. It's midnight or something. Anyway, we're going to interview Dan the Man from Slice Engineering. He's going to tell us all about that freaking awesome Lamborghini they drive called the Mosquito hot end. And those are his words, not mine. That Lamborghini thing, that's his analogy, not mine. No, I'm just kidding. I can't wait till I can afford to get me one, and we want y'all to get one. So we're going to introduce Dan. He's going to tell you a little bit about what they're doing, their hot end, and that type of thing. We're going to ask a few questions, maybe some that my crack reporter didn't ask on the interview the other day at Earth. And then we're going to open it up to you. He is on a time crunch, so we've got 1 hour, 59 minutes right now from right now. So, Dan, I'm going to turn it over to you, man. They won't see me. They'll only see you. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Well, there's Dan, everybody, and it's his show.
Hey, guys. So I'm Dan from Slice Engineering. Thanks, Walter, for the intro. By the way, I just now noticed in your logo that you've got a bear trap in there. That's hilarious. And I like it. Anyhow, yeah, so Slice Engineering, we just launched the company about 4 months ago, me and my partner, Chris. And the whole idea of what we wanted to do was kind of tap into the higher performance side of things with 3D printing. So what we created, it's called the Mosquito. It's a hot end. I got one right here. Might be a little hard to see in the video, but you can go to my website, sliceengineering.com, and see some other close-up pictures. The idea is we wanted to make it hot end's all about heat management, thermal management, right? So we wanted to separate the structural component, which is basically this heat sink up here and these little tubes down here, from the heat break, which is just this little tiny spindly column in the middle. So by doing that, by separating the heat break from the structure, we were able to make the heat break very, very thin walled. And what that does is make sure that your heat that you're generating with your heater cartridge stays down here in the hot block instead of moving upwards into your heat sink. So then you don't need a huge heat sink to dissipate all that heat, because you're making it stay right here in the hot block, and that heat's going into melting your filament very, very consistently instead of spreading upward into the rest of your hot end. So that allows us to make this thing pretty small. Of course, lighter weight means, lower mass on your printer, especially if you got a Delta. You got to swing that whole carriage around. Hopefully it helps you speed up your printer speeds a little less inertia, every time you're doing a fast movement. It also lets us get to higher temperatures, which is pretty awesome. So we've tested this thing up to 500+ degrees Celsius, and that covers pretty much any thermoplastic out there. So that's your Ultims. Hopefully we'll be able to print PEEK someday. PEEK has some other interesting things like, heated enclosures. You get delamination between the layers. So it's a little more than just a hot end exercise at that point. But pretty much any thermoplastic on the planet can be covered in the 500 C range. So that's what this gets you, is better thermal management. That tiny heat break also gives you a super sharp transition from your hot section to your cold section. So the sharp transition means your plastic comes in solid, right? Just like with any hot end. But instead of sitting in a zone where your melt zone is kind of not very clearly defined, and it kind of changes length based on, how fast you're printing and how many retracts you got to do. Like if you're doing a model that's got a lot of starts and stops, then your melt zone is basically going to extend upward gradually. So your plastic, instead of staying solid and then transitioning to liquid, to be squirted out is going to sit in a glass transition temperature where it's kind of soft, kind of hard. It's not one thing or the other. It's kind of like pulling on a wet noodle. So every time you retract, you're pulling on this wet noodle, and so sometimes you're getting jamming. So a lot of the jams that you may see in models that have a lot of start stops and a lot of retracts is probably because your melt zone is basically creeping upwards, and then your extruder is yanking on a wet noodle piece of plastic instead of pulling on something hard that then is going straight into a liquid state. So yeah, that's what I got. That's my pitch.
That's your pitch. All right. Well, I mean, now see, Fernando's already saying, "Take my money." Well, guys, right now, if you go to the website, they only have 25 of these left. They're fixing to do another production run.
Yeah.
You said another 100. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah, another 100.
Y'all have to understand that they're still a startup. So all of this money that they're putting into these production runs and stuff is out of their pocket. And the little bit that they make when they sell these, for sure. I've got to open Discord. I closed it earlier today, so I've got to open it right now. It makes a lot of noise whenever people like chat and stuff, so I got to do some things to get that right. But you can ask questions here in the chat or in the Discord in just a minute. Okay, so let me ask you a question, Dan. On the retraction side of things, because I've been fighting my hypercube right now. It's killing me, okay, with stringing. And I've got my retraction like right now at like 4.1 millimeters, doing all this stuff. So with this, I was looking at some of your models, and I mean, y'all have like these like tiny retraction settings.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that work even with a Bowden system? I mean,
Yeah, so with a Bowden system, obviously you're going to have, like with anything, you're going to have a little bit longer retraction than you would with the direct drive setup, just because of that distance, right? And you're going to have some flexing in the tube. Anyway, I think everybody gets that. But even on a Bowden setup, we're getting much shorter retractions on I guess the models you're talking about that you saw at Earth. One of them we printed the torso model from Thingiverse. I don't know if people know about that one, but I can send the link later. But it's a Veroni model, which means it's this very kind of intricate lattice structure, and we printed that on with PLA with a 0.25 nozzle with a 0.4 retraction instead of your 4 millimeter retraction. So again, that's gonna be longer with a Bowden tube, but yeah, 0.4. Yeah,
no, that's I mean, still awesome though. I mean, you're even on like the Mark III, which is one of my favorite printers. The standard retraction like 1.1 millimeters or 1.2 millimeters, whatever it is.
Sure.
And you're talking about a 0.4 millimeter retraction.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're also saving your extruder motor because it's not having to work near as hard.
No, yeah, you're not doing nearly as much work with the extruder. Yeah.
Now you've done. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What was that?
I'm just saying, you're right. On the retraction side, you're not doing as much work. Obviously, extrusion, you're still doing as much, but it should eliminate pretty much that stringing as long as you got your settings set up right. I mean, obviously, whenever you install something new, you're gonna have to tweak your settings a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you can print pretty much without stringing at all, unless you're printing with like a, something really flexible, like I'm blanking on the name of that. Ninja Flex or something. Like, you still might get a little bit of that, but unless you're printing with a super flexible filament, you shouldn't get any stringing at all.
Yeah, I'm trying to send. Some of the guys want to buy one right now, so I'm sending them.
All right.
So you may be out before the show's over.
That would be great.
But now and one thing that you do have to say is you're a little more expensive than even a full-blown E3D V6.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of that is due to how you do your production now. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, that is a very fair statement. There's a couple things involved in that. One is the fact that we're doing all of our production in the U.S., all of our machining in the U.S. So machining, assembly, like the whole hot end, all of it's made in the U.S. 90% materials are sourced from the U.S. There's like one thing that we can't really get here, but everything else is is from the US. So you're just going to pay more for higher quality materials that are come from the United States. And then the other part of it is, like you said, we're making small quantities right now. So if I was making, 10,000 of these, they would be cheaper, but
Right.
I'm making 100 at a time and I'm paying for it out of my own pocket right now. So every time somebody buys one, I'm literally, I haven't taken a dime from this. I'm way, way, way in the red right now. So I just take that money and I go and I pay my manufacturer to make more, So yeah, so that's where we're at. I've got my day job. I work 45 plus hours a week on that. And then this is my nights and weekends job. So, cause it's fun. It's a fun thing to work on.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and try to catch some of these questions before they get out of my chat.
Okay.
Is there, or I'm just gonna broaden this a little bit. Is there now, or are there plans for maybe a 2-in-1, a 2-in, 1 out, maybe?
Okay. So right now we're just trying to get this launched, up to enough volume to where we can make it at least like break even and be sustainable. That would be great. So we do have quite a few things in the pipeline in terms of future product developments, but that is not a 2-in-1 is not something that's in the next probably 6 to 12 months.
Right.
What I will say is we've got one user down in Boynton Beach who has put the Prusa Mark II multi-material extrusion kit on it. And so he's able to get, he was sending me videos over the weekend of multicolored prints off of his Mark II Prusa using our hot end. So there are ways that you can do it, certainly, but not with two heat breaks in the same hot end at the moment.
Right. Well, Ben Craig just really, he loves his mixing stuff. So,
all right.
All right. Well, I don't know if you've noticed or not. Okay, we've got an echo from your end. A little bit.
All right. Let me.
Maybe some from mine too. Let me turn it down a little bit. There we go. All right. So I don't know if you noticed or not, but Joel Telling's in here, 3D printing nerd, and
great.
He has a major audience. I'm pretty sure you talked to him at Murph. That was your first show.
Actually, I did not get to talk to him at Murph. I wish I had gotten to talk to him at Murph. I was so swamped. I had never talked to so many people in that short period of time in my life. So
right. Well,
I really to get to talk to him, but I didn't.
His statement here is great. Just remember, a nights and weekend job can for sure turn into a full-time job, because he did go from Adobe to full-time content creator. So
cool.
Which
Joel, I would love for that to happen.
All right, so let's go on to the next question. All right, so one of the biggest questions, and I had this question as well because I didn't see one on there at our. Is a cooling fan necessary for this? Not a part cooling fan, but a heat break cooling fan.
Sure. So we did most of our initial testing without a fan at all. Our thermal isolation to the hot block is really just that good. However, PLA is super, super sticky, and the tubes that we're using in the heat break, those are stainless steel, and PLA likes to stick to stainless, unfortunately. So we do have a 25 millimeter fan, so it's really tiny, takes almost no. I mean, you're really, if you guys come to the show, if you saw me at the show, I had a hot end set up with a thermal camera pointed at it and a little tiny 25 millimeter fan on it, and I was putting my hand on the heat sink just to to demonstrate, and then I was having people put their hand in front of the fan to feel how much airflow was coming off of it, and it's very, very little airflow. But we do suggest using a fan with it to answer your question.
Okay. Hold on. Let me try to catch up. Okay. So I caught up there. All right. Chris Riley says, I have a mini fan with mine. Can you show how that might be mounted in relation to the hot end?
Sure. Yeah. Give me 1 second here.
Okay.
Pull a fan out. All right. So give me 1 second to grab an Allen wrench.
That's fine. Guys, I appreciate all the questions in here because, I look at their website and I really don't have any since I don't have a lot of questions since I saw it live, and I want one very badly. So yeah.
All right, so got my Allen wrench here. So here's the top of the heatsink, right? And we supply these little M2.5 screws, and we supply Allen wrenches as well because we recognize that a lot of people probably don't have an Allen wrench that small. So every screw that's in the hot end has an Allen wrench to go with it. So basically, these holes at the top are threaded all the way through. So what we do is we wanted to make this as modular as possible so that it could be adapted to as many different printers as possible. So here's my little 25 millimeter box fan. So you can mount it on that end, and what you do is you just take those little screws that I just pulled out of there, and you mount them from one side. I don't know if that's showing up in the video, but
I think most of the guys here can get the gist of what you're doing.
All right, cool. So yeah, so it mounts, it fits the heatsink basically is what it does, and you can mount it from either side. We've got this may not show up in the video at all, but if you go on our website, we've got the dimensional drawings on there under our documentation section, and you should be able to see that there's a little tiny cutout on one face of the heatsink that goes about halfway up. And what that does is it actually creates an air gap. I think it's about 1 millimeter between the fan and the heatsink. And so that allows you to print at those elevated temperatures without causing any damage to the fan.
Okay, cool, man. Now, one question that did come up, and this is something that I thought about too. Most of the things that we use to mount hot ends with, they're M3 screws. Y'all went with M2.5s. What was the reasoning? Yeah,
so I wish we had real estate on it to put M3s on it.
Well, that's what needed to be explained. Why did you go with the 2.5?
Yeah, it's honestly, we made this thing so tiny that there's just not a lot of room for an M3. Yeah, maybe another iteration at some point. We'll find some space. But at this point, we don't have space for M3s, unfortunately.
Cool. Well, Fernando Pena asked, will you have one for an MK10? I don't even know what an MK10 is, so I'm at a loss there.
Is he talking about the nozzle? Maybe
I'm assuming.
Okay, yeah. So we're currently compatible with Mark 8 nozzles, which is what E3D and Olsen Ruby and Micro Swiss, all those guys, they make Mark 8 nozzles. We're not currently making anything for Mark 10 nozzles, and part of the reasoning behind that is we want this to be able to run up to such high temperatures that PTFE tube that comes down into the middle of the Mark 10, we would melt it. So that's why we haven't done anything with Mark 10 at this point.
Okay.
Maybe somewhere down the line we'll do like a one that doesn't ramp as hot.
Okay. Well, what's the difference between the standard hot end and a Magnum hot end?
Yeah, I get this question a lot, which means I need to make my website a lot more clear.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up later. You need to update some of that stuff that's on your website.
Yeah, I know. I'm working on it. I'm a terrible, terrible web designer, unfortunately.
I do that for a living. Wait, you're in the red. Never mind.
So, yeah. So at some point we'll revamp the whole. We're making changes literally daily, but at some point we'll revamp the whole website, and I'll just have to pay somebody who actually knows what they're doing to do that because I'm horrible. But so the Magnum. So I've got a Magnum right here, and then here's the standard that I just put the fan on. So you can see the heat break is different in the middle. You can probably see this little white insulator there. So that white insulator, what it does And if I pull it up, you can see that that distance has grown. So what we've done is we've extended the melt zone upwards. So you may recognize basically the technique from what E3D did with the Volcano, where they extended their melt zone downwards by giving those long nozzles. So what we've done is basically kept the form factor exactly the same, extended the melt zone upward, so you get that high flow rate by having a longer melt zone, but we've still got that super sharp transition from the end of the melt zone to the heat break, or in the heat break, the melt zone has a really sharp transition. So you're still getting the same effect as you would on the standard Mosquito hot end, but with a longer melt zone, more output. And this little white thing, this insulator, is it's a calcium silicate composite, which is a fantastic heat shield material. It's some of the stuff they use on like the space shuttle for re-entry stuff. Yeah.
Cool. It's all cool unless it falls off.
Yeah. Don't break it off.
Don't break it off.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So the next question from Uncle Ron is, how much weight are you saving between the Mosquito and the E3 DV6, basically?
Yeah. So I wish I could give you exact numbers on that. I unfortunately don't have that data in front of me. That is, again, another question that I've gotten a few times, and I need to actually post that online. But I mean, we've had people hold them in their hands at MRF and at IRF. They're like, wow, this is a lot lighter, which is great. And we designed it that way, but I don't have exact numbers for you at the moment.
That's very scientific, though.
Right. Yeah. It's the hand test, the hand scientific test. Right.
All right. Well, I got to go back up because Ryan Prior actually made a statement that was pretty cool, and it kind of addresses the next. Let me find it if I can. Oh yeah, Ryan Prior said he bought a nozzle from you at MRF. He sent 3 kilos of carbon fiber PTG, and it's a rock star. So awesome. Down here, I have a question from Filament Frenzy, who, if you're not on Twitter and you don't follow 3D guys on Twitter, Filament Frenzy has some of the most beautiful prints in the world ever that's ever been made. I mean, just the guy's a filament whisperer is what he is. But he asked, how many hours have you knocked up on one of your hot ends?
So we've had up to like 6 printers going at a time testing this. So I don't know how many we've put through a specific hot end. It's on the order of probably a couple hundred. Right. Again, I don't have exact numbers on that. We've done.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. It's one of those things you can look at later. I mean, it's okay. Right. You know, only I have the answers for everything. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. That's good to know.
Walter, how many hours have we done of testing?
A bunch. See, I told you it was that easy.
Yeah.
All right. MapRo6 says, "Do you have a store?" But I don't think you do. I think you're only online. Is that correct?
Yeah, only online. Yep, online.
Yeah. Storefront is not an overhead you need right now.
Nope, no, I got you. Definitely not. If you come to my house, I'll sell you one.
Yeah, right. Don't post your address online, dude.
No, I don't do that. No.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Now, Red Light's asking, and he's asking us, I think. He's not really asking you. But for standard PLA and not pushing high amounts like 0.1 millimeter nozzles or whatever, would you recommend just the standard or the Magnum? Which is for, say I want to put something on my Mark III. I'm using 0.4 millimeter nozzle, and I just want to run, and print pretty stuff. What would you recommend?
I'd recommend the standard for that application. Okay. If you're trying to print, like I was talking to somebody last night in California who is doing car parts. They're making car parts. And so he's got, large format printer. He's trying to push stuff out pretty fast. And so for him, I would definitely recommend the Magnum because you're going to get that high flow rate without sacrificing a ton of resolution. But, there is going to be some level of trade-off. But yeah, if you're just standard, Prusa Mark III, you're not trying to, break the speed barrier on something, I'd go with the standard one.
Okay. Well, I mean, at least you're honest with that. You're not trying to like, get some more money for that Magnum. So, that's cool, man. That's nice.
Almost the entire cost of the Magnum, the difference between the two is this little insulator right there, actually. So, yeah, I make the same amount on either one.
I got you. All right. So Carl Brown asked, because, a lot of people like to do the dual color, the dual head printing. Can you mount two of these side by side, back to back?
Yes.
Okay.
This is fantastic, right? So we wanted to be able to do that as well. So you can actually mount these two back to back, and the distance nozzle tip to nozzle tip is 14 millimeters. Very, very small. So you can get cover quite a bit of area with not a lot of space with these two mounted back to back. So
okay.
And if you were to do that, I would recommend doing like a push-pull configuration with the fan. So you'd mount one facing one direction and the other, like facing the same way, if that makes sense. So you get continuous flow through from one side to the other.
Sweet. Paul Cumber, it's going great, and you're right. Happy 4th of July to the country. Happy birthday to the country. All right, so let me go on down here. All right, so we got two mounted back to back, which is cool. That's awesome. A lot of people like to do that. Me, I can't get one to work right. So, Paul Cumber says he needs a nozzle for a Monoprice Mini Select or MP Select. Monoprice MP Select. They should have mounts for E3D V6s for those, Paul. So, anywhere you can mount that, you can mount this. So, or I say that. I'm pretty sure that you could come up with some way that you could mount an E3D V6 and not mount this nozzle. I'm pretty sure you could come up with something. So I can't say anywhere. What's that?
Somebody will find a way to break it.
Somebody will find a way to disprove my statement. So almost anywhere. Let's say it that way, because I'll get a thumbs down. No, you can't. You can't mount it this way. And I'll be like, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Okay. There you go. Well, that's just a statement. Apocalypse Survivor says a wiki type environment with a knowledgeable moderator would allow the community to give some back towards documenting the project. So, that's something y'all may think about later on. I know that you're geared right now. You're trying to get off the ground, and even social media is, it's not an afterthought, but it's, it is.
Yeah. You met Joanna at Earth, my wife. She's helping out with social media stuff now. So that's been huge, because I'm like social media illiterate. So I can't even maintain my own Facebook page, much less stuff for Slice. So.
I didn't know that was your wife at the thing. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Oh, and also, and I will tell you this: you need to get shirts in 2X. Okay.
All right.
Because my fat butt's not getting in your shirt.
2X. I'm taking notes right here on my engineering.
Okay. Because I would sport this on like my morning show. I would have it on right now.
All right.
But a large, an extra large is a little bit small on me.
All right.
Okay. So,
2XL shirts coming up.
I got you. Okay. So Trolling for Dollar says, let me go to Red Lights. Well, no, we'll go to his first. What's the cost for a standard hot end? Just standard, the Mosquito itself.
Yeah. So it's listed. The regular price is $149.
Okay.
Right, $149.99.
Yeah. Okay, and then it'll take a standard cartridge and a standard thermistor, correct?
That's correct.
So like a standard E3D cartridge and a standard E3D. Now y'all offer other ones, is that right?
We do offer other ones, yeah. And the reason we offer other ones is because we wanted, if you're going to print at 400 plus degrees Celsius, you're going to want a higher output heater cartridge. So we've got 50-watt heater cartridges right now. I think we have a few left in stock. We sold a lot of those right after the show. And we've got a 60-watt that we'll be coming out with soon. So that's the reason for that, is if you want to print high temp, we got you covered. You need more power output to get up to those higher temperatures. And then the thermistor is, we're the only ones in the world that have this thermistor. Actually, we're getting them hand built in Japan right now. And they, long lead time, unfortunately, with hand building stuff, but it's a thermistor that's accurate enough at room temperature, but also ramps all the way up to that 450 degrees Celsius range. So having so it's got a different, you know, set of resistance values than what would come standard on your printer. So you would need to make, you know, some firmware adjustments or whatever to make it read that different thermistor table.
Right.
That allows you to not have to mod your board and put a PT100 on there. Instead, you just run with a thermistor like you had before and just type in new resistance values.
Okay, cool. Cumber, I just pasted the link to Slice Engineering again to their shop where you can order one. Rover said, you know, would a ceramic tube be a viable option for instead of the stainless steel for the PLA sticking?
Right. So we did look at ceramic tubes. Unfortunately, so we looked at a variety of different things with ceramics. What you want with this tube is to be able to have it have good enough conduction and heat transfer to where you can remove the heat from the tube, and not so much that that the filament basically doesn't react at all, right? So if you used a ceramic insulator like we're doing right here, then you would not get the heat transfer that you need to up in that part of the tube. So yeah, so I'm sure there is a way that you can make a ceramic work. We did look at a couple different ceramic options. Ceramic tubes are also expensive.
I can imagine.
So it was less expensive to get the stainless tubes.
Okay, well, on that same note, and they can't see me, but I think you can see them.
Yeah.
E3D give out these coated nozzles that are polyphobic. Now, that type of coating, could you not coat that nozzle or that tube with this type of coating or something? And that may be something, you know, an improvement later on. You know, I understand the ramp up in the cost and all.
Yeah.
But so would that be an option maybe later on? Sure.
So we have actually looked at a variety of different coatings inside the tubes. The tubes are very thin in diameter, very small in diameter, and they're also very thin walled. So handling them from a manufacturing standpoint is actually a little difficult. And getting the coating to go down inside the tube uniformly is actually a pretty difficult process. Even with like a gas vapor deposition process, you're still getting you still don't get even coating all the way through. So we did a lot of destructive testing where we sent off tubes of a bunch of different lengths to different types of coating manufacturers to try and get it down inside there. And then we would cut them open and see basically and measure how deep, how thick is it uniform, things like that. So from a manufacturing standpoint, getting a coating inside that tube is actually quite difficult. And so it was just a lot. It made more sense from a cost and manufacturing standpoint to just put a little tiny heat sink on it. That's this guy right here, that little copper heat sink, and then just stick with the standard tube.
Okay, cool. All right, David Olson asked, do you have mounts for various types of printers, or is it just where you can bolt on the top piece of it to mount it like an E3D V6, or are there multiples? I think I saw on your website there's a couple of 3.
Yeah, so we have 3 mounts posted right now on our website for different types of extruders. We've got my printer that's actually right next to the laptop is in pieces right now because I'm redesigning a new mount for a craft bot. And so we've got a bunch of people designing mounts all over the country for different types of printers. So coming soon, we're trying to get like 1 new mount a week posted on the website. Don't hold me to that because that's going to be hard to do, down the road. But that's the goal right now, is to get as many mounts out there as possible. And if you guys, buy hotend and you've got some printer that there isn't a mount posted for right now and you want to design one, I mean, please post it on Thingiverse. We'll link to Thingiverse, give you credit for making them out, and then give you, shout out on social media or whatever you want. Maybe, yeah. So, we'll
right. And then right after that, any thoughts about a 3mm version?
Yeah, so we've made some. We had them at Murph. We had 3mm versions at Murph. We did not have as much interest in the 3mm versions as we did in the 175s. So if you want one, I can special make you one. So just send me an email. But at the moment, we're not carrying them in inventory just because it's expensive to make. So we would like to eventually make those as well. I know there's been a lot of interest about putting some of these on like a Lulzbot Taz 6 or the new Mini 2 that just came out. So we would love to do that, and that is definitely in the cards down the road.
Yeah, I spoke with a manufacturer of 3D printers the other day, and he said that they're using your hot end on their Core XY machines. So, it may be something that gets adopted, more and more, because if it is as it's stated and as it looks to be, the next evolution of hot ends, then that's a great thing. All right, so do you have for direct drive extrusion, but that goes right back into the mount system, correct? So it's whatever type of mount you need. Okay.
Yeah, so we've tested this on both direct and Bowden setup. Yeah,
well, Red Light, who's going to buy one, it looks like here in just a minute, he's like, hey, are there any promo codes? Does Kuntry Klub get a promo code? Come on, man.
Let me I will set this up right now. Give me 2 seconds and I'll set it up.
Okay.
Promo code in a moment.
All right. So here we go. We're gonna have to keep the promo code simple though. So it's got to be like Kuntry Klub or something.
Yeah. Promo code will be simple. It's all right. Let's see here. Exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be Kuntry Klub.
KUNTRY KLUB.
Yep. Make sure you spell it right.
Oh yeah. I keep it hard for people to spell because we're all hooked on phonics.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's see here. Almost done. Okay. All right. So for the next 2 days.
2 days.
The next 2 days, if you type in Kuntry Klub with K's, not C's, at checkout, you'll get the same deal that I was offering at IRF, which is a 15% off discount. And discount is live now.
So for 2 days, you can buy one using the code Kuntry Klub for 15% off. Chris Riley said he wanted another one. I know that Red Light said he wants one. So there's 2 right there.
Awesome.
I'm pretty sure Joel Telling's got to get him at least one,
right,
so that he can show it off. And I'll tell you right now, if Joel shows it on his channel and he gives it a thumbs up, you're not going to be able to keep up those 300,000 subscribers.
Joel, I'd love to talk to you in person, or not in person, but in person would be great too. But I'm not flying to California right now. But Joel, I'd love to talk to you. Email or whatever. We could do another hangouts about that. That'd be great.
All right, cool. And Red Light said, does he get a shirt if he orders one? I'll tell you what, Red Light, you order one and you send me a receipt, I will send you the extra large shirt that I am not even putting on my leg down here. Absolutely. So that's 1, 2. I see 3. At least 3 people are going to get one. I don't know if Joel's still here. I was just calling him out because
All right.
Well, see, Red Light just posted. He just ordered his before you gave the code out.
Oh, okay. Tell him to email me and I'll apply the code to his order retroactively.
Okay. All right. Why don't you just write his order number down?
Okay.
It's number 23.
All right.
So 00023. Red Light's a good guy, man. Really good guy. Well, other than he likes to talk a lot. Unlike me, you know, because I'm a quiet, shy person. So
Right. So shy.
all right, so let me go back up here. He said, does he get a shirt? I'll send you a shirt, Red Light. I will send you the shirt. That's cool. All right. What voltage are the heater cartridges?
So we've got 12 volt and 24 volt variants.
Okay. So you have 12 and 24, which is cool. Red Light asked, what type of nozzles can you use? Standard nozzles, standard E3D V6, the micro swish or whatever, right? All those regular nozzles. You can put an Olsen Ruby in it. As soon as you send me an Olsen Ruby, you can buy you one and you'll be good. All right. So we have a promo code for 2 days, 2 days only. Now if they order and you run out, that will carry over till you get it in, right? To fill their order.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You may have to wait a little longer, but if you order now, 15% off for 2 days using the code Kuntry Klub. We're keeping it simple. And you know, if that works out, he might extend that. Might. If he's selling bunches and bunches and bunches of them.
If y'all clear me out, I'll extend it.
If you clear him out, he'll extend it. Okay, well, you know, we've only got 29 watching, so almost all of them would have to buy a hottie. But now over the next couple of days, you can't ever tell. So,
right, it's true.
All right, so let's see. Let me go back up here, and I'm trying to get all these in here because we only got 18 minutes. Dan's in a hurry today. All right, so Shane from Prusa said promo code should be free hot end for Walter. That's in the chat. I didn't make that up.
That's a pretty good promo code, actually.
I know, right? Ken Keller asked, do you think you could put this on an FT5, on the Folger Tech, the FT5?
I'm sure you could. Yeah, I was actually talking to Folger Tech at IRF, and I'll probably be talking to them either late this week or early next week about having a official adapter, you know. But you know, if you've got an FT5 now and you ordered one, I'm sure we could easily make that work. Right.
Well, trolling for dollars. This is the last comment right there. I am so close to pulling the trigger. Well, like they told me in the Army, control your breathing and just squeeze.
Wait till you see the whites of their eyes, right?
Squeeze. That's right. That's squeeze. There you go. All right. So let me go back up here. I'm still trying to get these questions in. What nozzle material would you recommend paired with the Mosquito when printing Ultim or PEI filaments?
So if you're printing Ultim, if you're printing Ultim, I would probably, depends on how much volume you're printing. If you're printing something smaller, I'd probably go with a brass one just because you're going to get that really good heat transfer. If you're printing something large volume, I'd probably go with like, unfortunately we're out of nozzles right now, or otherwise I'd pitch my own, but at the moment we're out of nozzles. So I'd go with like an A2 from either Micro Swiss or E3D with their new fancy coating.
Yeah, the ones that they gave out at Murph were not hardened. They were just standard nozzles with a coating. Now the ones they just gave out at IRF are actually hardened and coated. So I actually just put one on. What did I put it on? I put it on my Hypercube, my printed Hypercube, which I don't think you ever came around and saw, by the way. You didn't ever come and talk to me about it.
You know what? I came over to your table and you weren't there. That's what it was.
I'm a social butterfly, Dan. I'm a social butterfly.
I talked to Fun King 3D for a while.
Oh Lord.
Walter. So.
Okay. All right. So let me get back to the question. Okay. So Robbie Max said, sorry if I'm late. If I order a hot end, I need the thermistor and heater cartridge also. Yeah, Robbie Mac, that's true. You can get it from them, or you can use your own thermistor and heater cartridge. They sell the 50 watt, and it looked like on your website you were out of stock of the thermistors right now.
Yeah, we sold out at the end of last week, so we are out of thermistors. Trying to restock those as quickly as possible. Yeah.
Okay.
Handmade before, so that they take a little while.
Yeah. All right. So will this be easily mounted to an A6? Well, yeah, because you can easily print out a mount for an E3D V6, and this will absolutely mount anywhere you can mount it. Well, let's do that again. Almost anywhere you can do an E3D V6, this will mount. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's out of thermistors. That's true. PT3D, Mr. Ed says recommendations for sustained prints 20 plus hours above 240. I don't know what recommendations he's asking for. Wait, he was not asking for the nozzle, but I'm pretty sure since we were talking about that when he typed the question, that would be it.
Okay.
So we covered that pretty much. So 20 plus hours above 240C nozzle recommendation. Just standard.
Yeah, I'd probably still go with the same. Is he printing with abrasive filament?
It didn't say. It just said sustained prints plus 20 plus hours.
Yeah, because if you're doing abrasive for 20 plus hours, you obviously need a hardened nozzle. But if you're not printing abrasive, then yeah, you could probably just stick with a brass.
All right, we've got. Does the 15% include heaters? Is that total order or just the hot ends?
That's just the hot end right now.
Just the hot ends.
The hot end.
Okay. That's probably the only place that they have absolutely any margin whatsoever is on the hot end itself. I'm pretty sure that would be the case. And no, Robbie Mac, you do not need theirs specifically. Now, to get the high temperatures and to make sure the thermistor works at those high temperatures, probably need either theirs or something comparable to what they're selling. And I don't know if they, if there is such a monster out in the wild. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the only thing that would be comparable would be you'd have to switch your board over to a PT100 thermocouple to get those high temperatures and get the same kind of good control feedback on your printer board. So we'll have the thermistors available soon, hopefully. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Red Light, who just ordered a hot end from you, so be honest. Do you need the boron nitride paste? Do you need that?
You don't need many things in life, but I like using the boron nitride paste because so I know I gave this spiel at ERF, but the boron nitride paste, it's been used for a long time in the injection molding industry. And basically what they do is you've got your big steel mold, right? And they'll coat the inside of the mold with boron nitride before they inject the molten plastic in there. And the reason they do that is because it's a release agent. So it's easy to pull the plastic out afterwards, even if it's got a bunch of little crevices and nooks and crannies and stuff. But the other reason is it's super thermally conductive. So our hot block does not have, it's not like a crimp down kind. We wanted our machining tolerances to be really tight. So we got an H7 tolerance on these holes. So our heater cartridges and thermistors are instead held in by these little screws that we have on the end. So what that means is even though we've got a tight tolerance on those, there's still a little bit, there's going to be some imperfections and a tiny bit of an air gap in certain areas between your heater cartridge and your hot block. So I put the boron nitride paste on every time I put a heater cartridge in or a thermistor in. I actually put it on my nozzle threads too when I put a nozzle in because it just makes it easier to get off afterwards. So if you ever had a heater cartridge stick in your hot block, you should use boron nitride.
That's cool because I've never used that. Didn't know that. And I appreciate that information for me myself. I'm pretty sure even on an E3D V6, that would be a good thing to have and use. So,
yeah. I would use it literally on anything.
Okay. All right, cool. Now I'm going to read through these comments real quick. Guys, if y'all have any more questions, you need to get them in the chat. We've only got about nine minutes or so. I know Dan's looking at the clock right now. Robbie Mac, or PT3D, Ed said thanks for answering his question. Accelerate asked, is the center heat break made of copper, the thermocouple?
The thermocouple?
The centerpiece that looks copper colored in yours, is that made out of copper?
Yes. So this is a so there's a little bushing right there. That's a chromium copper. That heatsink is chromium copper, and then the tube is stainless steel.
Okay, cool. Yeah, heat break. That's what he was talking about. Okay, cool. All right. So Wellbot says, how do y'all, Trolling for Dollar says boo on that 15% only on the hot ends, by the way. He put a boo out there, by the way.
Yeah.
And Uncle Ron told Robbie Mack if he forgets his own address to ship everything to me.
Oh,
so
okay.
They're just going to order and ship me one, which is cool.
Right.
That's nice.
That's great.
Robbie Mack says, guys, don't buy them all. That's just not going to work. Robbie Mack, they can buy them all, and you'll get the rank check once they have to come from wherever they're put together at or whatever.
Yeah, Indiana. We make them in Indiana.
They're made in Indiana. So, hey, listen, half of you guys are from Indiana. Support your home state, right? Are they put together in Indiana? Is that true?
Yeah.
That what they're made at?
Yeah, they're assembled in Indiana. The machines are assembled in Indiana. So we got this little made in the USA thing on there.
So what's up, Hoosier Cups? Go buy a hot end now. What are you waiting on? All right, Dan. I'm gonna go ahead, and I don't have any. If any comes in while you're doing your closing, I'll do that. But you got any closing statements? I mean, anything that we missed or?
I don't know. I really appreciate this, Walter. This is great. Great to connect with your audience. Great to talk to you again. Really enjoyed the conversation. And my email is dan@sliceengineering.com. So you guys got any questions or concerns or whatever, just drop me a line. And yeah, looking forward to it. This is a fun thing. So.
Yeah, I thought we answered this earlier. Paul Cumber, if you can mount an E3D V6 on a monoprice Mini Select, then it should fit. I don't know the specifics of the monoprice Mini Select. Do you, Dan, know?
I don't know that particular printer very well, no.
Okay. Shipping to UK, is that okay?
We haven't done that yet, but we can figure that out.
Well, I mean, you really will have to, especially if we start getting stuff in front of people.
Yeah,
because
I know we have to.
A lot of my audience is absolutely from across the pond. And matter of fact, I had a couple in here from down under that were watching when we first started. So yeah, you're getting worldwide right now.
Woo, worldwide. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not like huge crowds, man.
I'm checking my shipping.
Rover, if you will, post that link again. It's right up there. Accelerate or no, who was it? Trolling for Dollars. It's Kuntry Klub, Kuntry Klub for 15% off for until the 4th of July, till the country's birthday.
Yeah,
and if
midnight 4th of July, it's going to end.
And if we can, we can make him sell out and all that, he might extend it for a couple days. He'll have to let me know. We'll have to let me know how good we do here. Yeah, there's Sonic Alchemy. He's from Berlin. Wellbot's down. Wellbot's still watching. He's from down under. So
awesome.
All right, guys.
By the way, I just checked. I do ship international. So
he does ship international.
Website's set up for it already.
Okay, let me copy this up here and paste it real quick before we get out of here. That way we are all good. And hit enter. Okay, so Trolling for Dollars, there's your link. Go ahead and go get you one. I know you want to. Robbie Mack, you can go back and watch this and then order one if you want to. Guys, if you're out there and you're in the market for a hot end, these guys have a friggin' awesome product. They're a small company. You get to talk to the guys that invented it. Dan is one of the guys that engineered this hot end. So I'm going to tweet this out, Dan, to my 5 followers that I have. Because nobody listens to anything I say, and get me and I'll send you that email. Like I told you, get me that roller so we can do that. Yeah. And over the next couple of days, from tomorrow and the 4th of July, I will promote this like crazy so we can do that. Okay. Let me. I'm gonna close out and I'll talk to you in just a second. Okay, buddy.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Right, hey guys, I want to say I appreciate all the questions. I really do. And I want to thank Dan for coming on, just like y'all have. It's been really great. for Walter's sad story. Whatever. Y'all guys, you know, if you like the channel, like and subscribe if you're not already. If you're, you know, if you're in the market and you can help support the channel if you want to keep seeing these. Next week, July the 9th, we have at 6:30 p.m. Daniel Noré will be right here live on the screen. But for now, that's the end of the interview, and we thank you for watching. This is Walter, and this is the Kuntry Klub.